and we can then take it from there. And then after the main session, after Aaron's spoken, there will be more opportunity for questions at the end. So after the 45 minutes, about 6:15. So with no further ado, I'm very pleased to hand it over to Philip.
Cool, thank you. I'm just filming this live as well, actually, so I'm just going to pop that there. If that's okay. There we go, Tar. Oh, right, I'm going to get that there. Got a bit of a sore throat, so hopefully, let me know if you can't hear me at the back. Yeah, so I'm the robot guy, so I'm just going to give you like an intro to do with robots and about what's going on, and then like Arjun's going to go through some AI stuff. I've got a presentation to take you through. With Arjun, he's going to do more of a sort of a conversation, sort of go through pieces. So if you've got AI questions about your business, this is the best chance to ask him, okay? So a little bit about me to start with. So yeah, Phil, Philip English, also known as RoboPhil. I've got a YouTube channel if anyone wants to subscribe. I'm working on it, hence the live. And who knows who this guy is? Raise your hands. There we go, 25. Yeah. Okay, so this was the first film that I ever saw in the cinema. I must have been about 8 years old, right at the time. I think I was up in Hatfield. My dad took me. And yeah, it was between this and Roger Rabbit. So luckily I saw this film instead. Otherwise I'll be up here speaking about something else. But yeah, ever since I saw this film, I've been a bit of an enthusiast. And the people who don't know about the film, so this is a film about a military robot that gets hit by lightning and becomes alive. And then he goes on lots of these adventures. And it's interesting to me because we're almost at that point where we're getting to real robots to becoming alive, especially with chatbot and AI. So it's a very interesting time. Over the years, I've been lucky enough to work with all sorts of different businesses, Airbus, Honeywell, Asda, XPO, installing all sorts of different robot projects. So because I've been doing this for 15 years, a lot of the technology then was quite basic. And so because of that, I've actually had a good overview of all the different types of robots and different sectors as well. So I've done everything from fluffy seals into care homes for therapeutic, hospitals into robots into hospitals for support of the patients, autonomous mobile robots into warehouses, including the collaborative robotics into warehouses. And now we're starting to see a new wave of service robotics. So if you go to a restaurant or a reception, we've got a new wave of these service robots. And again, with AI coming in and chatbots, these are going to become very live soon. And social robotics as well for care homes and hospitals on that side. My general thing is to really, what I sort of call to get people robot optimized or to get businesses is robot optimized. So whatever the sector, I could sort of come in and have a look and recommend some robots that may suit. I have got a methodology that I've built around it, but but for this conversation, it's more of just a quick chat. Just to ask, who here has got a robot at home, like a cleaner, something like that? Alexa. Well, so you've got so Alexa's the chatbot part of it. So yeah, technically. Anyone got a robot in their industry, in their company? No, okay. Anyone have any general knowledge about robots, just to see? Okay, you guys. Okay, right. Okay, cool. So, just quickly, just about the companies. So, we're split into two different brands. One is Robot Center, where we specialize in the new generation of industrial robots. So the old types of robots, it's in a big factory where it's spraying cars and welding cars. What we deal with is the new generation of robots, which are more of a collaborative kind. And what that means is that instead of a robot being encased in a cage, you can actually work right next to the robot and be able to work side by side with the technology. Within that, we do sort of security robots as well as robots that go into warehouses. That's Robot Center. And then Robots of London side, this is more of the service robotics thing. So this is robots into restaurants, robots for receptionists, digital signage robots, and that mix. So we sort of split. So if we go into a company, we say, okay, the back end is all the warehouse stuff, where the products are coming in, whereas the front end would be actually on the retail floor. So that's how we split it up. So you see the two. I always do this prediction from Bill Gates just to sort of explain where we think we are in the robot trend. So Bill Gates said in the 2000s, he said, we're at a point now where personal robots were in the 1970s with personal computers, of which there are many billions today. So what we've done is we've taken Bill's quote and we've said, okay, so in the 2000s, we were in the 1970s. So now we're in 2025, 2026. We're roughly in the 1995 of where computers are. So if you are old enough, I think we're around there. So if you remember in 1995, this is when we really started to see laptops come in, computers come in, servers come in, and more into the mainstream. So technically, we're roughly about the same sort of location. And the main reason why we had that burst in 1995 is essentially because of three things. We had affordable hardware, so laptops, computers, and everything else was cheaper, enough to go into normal small businesses. The graphical interfaces were easier, so you didn't have to code anymore. Obviously, you had Windows, and the network and internet connections were there as well. So taking Bill's example, what we're starting to see now is a similar trend for robots. So the robots are cheaper and smarter to use. The example is actually this dog. So when they first brought out and started designing these, it's like a £500,000 project, like 15 years ago. But now you can actually pick these robots up for sort of £10,000, whereas before it was £500,000. So the actual price of robots is coming down. So it's a lot more accessible to a lot more businesses. A lot of the corporate work I've done is, you know, if someone like Airbus got a big budget, they're happily throw like £200,000 to a project. But for a small business, that's always been difficult. But actually now the price is coming down so low, a lot of the smaller businesses can start to take advantage of it. So yeah, cheap and smart robots, user-friendly interface. I'd actually say one of the biggest things I've seen recently, I was over at CES in Las Vegas. Before, even with simple robots, it involved a lot of coding, but now we've got this new vibe coding and natural language coding that's actually coming into robots. So again, you don't go to spend hours and hours and a lot of money on like engineers. You can actually now start to talk to robots and they start to learn by themselves. I'm sure like Arjun will go through some of that. And then the connectivity and autonomy. So what we're starting to see is basically someone will wear a suit and they do a job. You know, they pick something up, they close something, that gets translated into data, which will then get converted into the robot. And the scary thing about it is that once you've done it once, then every robot around the world can use that same that same data set. So it means it's very, very quick changing. So this is why I reckon now over the next 10 years, we're really going to see, similar to 1995, where we saw computers coming to many different industries, we're going to see like robots come in a lot more as well. I always do just a quick history, just for people, just so you can see where it's all come from. So we've always had a fascination with like machines and robots ever since ancient times. So this was Thales, a 30-meter bronze automation to guard Crete. So we've always had this sort of fascination with robots for over thousands of years. We really didn't see any mechanical designs or anything like that until the 1st century AD, where Hero developed a programmable robot, which essentially, I think it was almost like a vending machine dispenser where you put a coin in and it dispensed like holy water. So not quite a robot, but it's similar for like mechanics. 15th century, we saw Leonardo da Vinci created humanoid robots that resembled a knight. So again, sort of that knight, that humanoid form has been there. The actual word robot came from a play by Karl Kopek in 1920, and it actually means forced labor. So it's a Czech word. So that's where the actual word robot comes from. And then really in the 1930s and 40s, we started to see different types of robots come out. There was a robot called Electro that was at the World Fair. But up until really the 1950s, it wasn't until then till we actually saw robots coming into industry when John DeVal invented the first industrial robot called Unimate. And this is actually what spun the next 1960s and 1970s and 1980s, what I deem as the old school robotic world. So big robots in cages, building cars and that sort of things for us. We had the Mars Pathfinder land in the 1990s. Obviously, that was the first ever wheeled robot to land on another planet. And then we came into the 2000s where we're starting to see home robotics for the first time with the iRobot Roomba, as well as medical robots from the Da Vinci surgical robot in the 2000s. So we're slowly getting there. And then 2010s, we're starting to see humanoids from Boston Dynamics. And then really 2020s has been the era of the cobots. So again, a collaborative robot is the next generation, the stuff that we deal with, where robots can work side by side with humans and not caged away. So I actually came into the robot industry in 2010. I was dealing with like robot cleaners right at the beginning. And back then, in 2010, a robot cleaner was roughly between £1,000 to £2,000 for something which you could pretty much make yourself now for about £200 from like a 3D kit. So it's it's an example of how pricing has dropped and again becoming cheaper for everyone to get access to these robots. Well, what I've done is I put a little time zone time display so you can see what's going on with different types of robots. So this is the cleaner prototype, 20 grand in 1995. 2010 it's 2k, and then 10 years later it's £200 product, you know, for the same sort of tech. Next one is collaborative robots, 500 grand project originally. 2010, they were 50k projects, but now you can pick Cobot arms up for 5k. And this is quite important because in a few years, you can imagine if you've got robots at home, you can have robots that go above the stove. So they come down the stove and a bit of AI programming, you can actually start to get the robot to cook for you. So chefs and everything else. There's actually a UK company called Molly, which has actually made one already. And I think they're selling into high-end restaurants now. But as that technology develops, imagine having a home robot that can cook you the best meals and the most like healthy meals that you can. So that's what we're seeing again with the price points coming down. Spot the Dog, you may have seen this one around. It's a £1 million project from Boston Dynamics. It dropped down to, and it got leased as a commercial product for 100k. Already you can get dogs for 10k, but they're not as advanced as Spot. Spot is a quite advanced robot. So I put there, you wouldn't get this sort of intelligence of a Spot robot until 2030. So this is the one who can roam around by itself. It can open up doors. And I've got a video to play you in a bit. And the next big leap is humanoids. So again, when I was in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, lots and lots of humanoids. I mean, it's been such a ramp up. Before, I think the first time I did this talk a couple of years ago, there was only about 5 or 6 different companies. I think there's maybe up to 100 different humanoid companies now. There's so many different. Like the UK has a humanoid robot company as well. I haven't had a chance to meet those guys yet, but everyone's going for humanoids. So our predictions are, obviously it was a £20 million project to start with. That's Boston Dynamics. Around about now, you can pick humanoids for around the 100, 200k mark. You know, what they do is still a bit of a question mark. You know, you don't need a humanoid to do some tasks. You know, you could just use a different type of robot. But my prediction was by about 2035, you'll probably start seeing these in the streets. Have any of you guys seen the robots in Milton Keynes that deliver the food? Okay, yeah. So if you go up to Milton Keynes and Northampton, you've already got a little autonomous robots roaming the street. So if you go and order like your food from the co-op or something, it will actually like deliver it for you. So the same way that we can see that now, I reckon by 2035, we may start seeing some humanoids like walking the streets, like doing security and walking around the buildings. I think that's my prediction with it. And then from the CES event, yeah, we're certainly getting there. So just quickly, when speaking to these businesses, there's three sort of main points that they always go through. So what I've deemed to be like the LED, so it's like an LED spotlight on most businesses. The first L for us is labour. So with the cost of labour going up and the workforce shortages, so a lot of skilled labour, especially in industry, a lot of the older skilled workers are leaving, and there's a generation gap where people don't want to do those dull, dirty and dangerous jobs. So there's gaps there. So this is what our customers tell us, that we need, that they have labour issues. And then obviously the health and safety. So there's a skills, and there's predicted skills gap from now. There's skills gap industries such as manufacturing and healthcare that may leave 2.4 million positions unfulfilled between 2020 and 2030. So to give you a case study of something that we've done is, so we went into Honeywell. It was their gas detection division down in Portsmouth, where they make all the gas detectors. When I first went in there, they had lots and lots of people just dragging trolleys around the unit, upstairs and downstairs, about six or seven temp staff, and they constantly had issues with staff. So we went in there and deployed a fleet of robots, which essentially allowed those staff to get upskilled to do more important jobs. And the actual running around of products and materials are now being done by these autonomous robots. It's actually quite an old case study because they've been in there for about 8-9 years now, and they got a return on investment after the first year. So hence they're very keen. But again, this was because Honeywell's so big, this sort of tech is a lot more accessible for smaller business now, smaller manufacturers. The next one is efficiency. So the one I use for efficiency is a bit like is a hospital example, where you have a lot of the nurses and the doctors doing a lot of walking around the hospital, like delivering drugs and delivering food. So the idea is to make the hospitals a lot more efficient, and especially when it goes to medical errors. So medical errors caused an estimated 2.6 million deaths annually, making it the third leading cause of death globally. So one of the NHS hospitals in Wolverhampton, they've installed essentially a pill dispensing robot. So this guy does all the medication for you, sorts it out, and then hands it into, gives it to the nurses. This machine has been 99.19% accurate, apart from one order where I think they said like a human was involved and it got it wrong. So yeah. So it's a good example of where robotics can be used in industries which really require more manpower. Last one, D, the development. So this one is all about data for me. Once you install a robot, then you're going to have a lot more data about the robot, and it's going to give you data about the actual business. And once you have that data, then you can use AI to make things more efficient. The main thing is really not only can you use the data just to sort out processes, you can use it to enhance innovation. And yeah, so this is why when we speak to businesses, we look at the development side and the innovation side, where companies that were rated the most innovative grew at 16% higher. And the example I have here is for the waste recycle industry. So when you throw your rubbish away in the green bins and it gets taken away, it normally ends up in some sort of sorting factory with a massive conveyor belt and loads of people each side just picking off the rubbish, the plastics and the woods and the metals for like recycling. So I've installed a robot that essentially does it for you. It can look at the stuff on the conveyor belt, decide if it's a piece of wood or if it's a piece of metal, be able to pick it up and then put it in the various containers. So they were, and the good thing about this one, it only had to be, I think, about 60% efficient for it to actually exceed what the potential was from like a payback perspective. Yeah, so basically the LEDs is part of the methodology I've built, but it's just like, it's the main problems that we see in manufacturing and why they're looking into robots. This is the quick little one I always do. So who knows what the I stands for in iPhone? I know some of you have seen this before. Who's got an iPhone? Yeah. Okay, anyone?
Intelligence.
Okay, that's a good guess. Okay, so originally it stands for internet. It stands for internet. So that was iPhone. Okay, BBC iPlayer should be a bit easier. Anyone? Internet? No. Okay, BBC, iPlayer, interactive iPlayer. Okay, iRobot. That is a difficult one. Anyone there?
Personal pronoun.
Yeah. Oh, Richard at the back. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So iRobot is becoming self-aware. So the whole concept of the film is a robot becoming self-aware. So for us, it's really anything to do with I stands for some form of intelligence. So intelligence, yeah, was right. So just quickly, the 5 sort of robot intelligent trends that I think we're going to see over the next few years. So the first one I've already quickly gone through, and this is about AI and machine learning. So again, being able to now speak to these robots and then get the robot algorithms to work via AI. This isn't quite an example of it. This is sort of a different example, but I'll just play this if it works. Oh yeah, and then the revenues are going up from 45 billion to 95.
Greetings, good sirs. May I have the pleasure of knowing your names?
I'm Matt, and that's Vache.
A pleasure to meet you, Matt and Vacha. Shall we commence our journey? The charging stations where spot robots rest and recharge is our first point of interest. Follow me, gentlemen. Let's proceed to the rock part.
Hey, Spot, how do you like your job?
Ah, Mr. Matt, my employment as a tour guide provides great satisfaction. I find the dissemination of knowledge rather rewarding, don't you agree? Now behold the rock pile, a splendid collection of stone ensconced within wood boxes.
Hey, Spot, I love your accent.
Let us venture onward to the calibration board, shall we? Keep close. Why, thank you, Mr. Matt. My linguistics have been meticulously crafted to provide an authentic British experience. Now behold the calibration board, a marvel of black and white QR code tags.
There we go. Yeah. So yeah, in a few years we're nearly there now where we're speaking to robots, nearly with the chatbots. So that's the first trend. The second trend is end effectors. So again, in Las Vegas, I saw lots of different types of end effectors and different ways of doing things, of picking up objects and moving objects. This is important because the more grippers and different end effectors we have, the more jobs and manufacturing tasks that we can do. So everything from sanders to start doing sanding jobs, soft grippers so you can pick up eggs and fruit without bruising them. And the big one I saw is the systems designed to work in fast food. So there's a robot design called Flippy in America, and they're very slowly starting to automate the fast food process because it's already quite process driven. So once you get one McDonald's automated and correct, then you can automate all of them. So that's the sort of trend. So I'm sure these guys who are manufacturing this are after that sort of market. Lab work for blood specimens, and even for like massage robots as well, if you've got back problems and stuff like that. So supporting nurses. So yeah, like the end effectors is the second big one. Oh yeah, and which obviously leads to a full-blown hand, which obviously then you got lots of different applications. Again, high cost to low cost. Okay, mobile manipulators. So this is where it's a combination of different robots. So again, putting different robots together to make a solution. So this is essentially autonomous mobile robot. So you can imagine this in a hospital somewhere, going up and down the floors and around the lifts. You have blood specimens on the top and a collaborative robot arm on the top, which has a tool changer. So one tool can pick up the blue box, and then it swaps tools to actually be able to pick up the blood specimens. So having those, again, the end effectors, the tool changes is very keen for the robots to do. And again, helping out with porter jobs and just the general running of hospitals. This is the type of tech that we've got coming through. So mobile manipulators. Digital twin technology, it's more on the 3D side. So now you can pretty much do most of the work in 3D and test it out before you deploy a real system. So you should see a lot more greater efficiencies. And again, with AI coming in, you can test out a lot more of these things. And then, yeah, and then humanoids, again, it's a big one. Lots and lots of different types of companies. I think it will be similar to when computers first came out. There was lots of different players. I think there's going to be lots of different battles between different companies about who's the best, and different companies buying each other. And eventually you're probably going to come out with maybe 5 or 6 key players that are going to develop some sort of humanoid that we're all going to use. Again, 2035 is my predictions for that. Have you guys seen the videos on TV for humanoids? Seen a few of them? Okay. Yeah, so that's my prediction, commercial product by 2035. Right, so this is the last slide that I put together. Again, I know some of you may have seen this before. So this is New York in the 1900s, and it's a game of spot the car. So before, in 1900, most of the streets were using horse-drawn carriages, and that's the first slide. And in the second slide, it was spot the horse, where in a very short periods, over 10 to 13 years, the whole industry changed. They were using something completely different. And again, similar to the computer industry, I think we're now going to see this in the robot industry. So cheap and smarter robots, user-friendly interfaces, and the connectivity. So it's an exciting time in the robot world. Right, okay, yeah, so a few quick questions. Anyone got any questions? And then we'll go to the AI.
Why do you think it's 2035 and not 2025?
If you could just say who your
Oh,
company,
yes, sorry.
name your company, please.
Julian Darley, Merlin AI. Why do you think 2035 and not 2025? Because there are robots coming in now already from China,
Yeah.
1,000, and they seem to be increasingly amazing. I'm planning to build one myself this year. There's with NVIDIA offering a free robot operating system, and others too. And the way printers are, I don't see why 2035. I think it's way faster than that.
Yeah, so I agree with you from a humanoid robots being here now point of view. So they are. So again, in Las Vegas, there was about 5 or 6 different robot companies, and the technology's here, and the developments here. But when I say 2035, I suppose I mean an actual working product, legally allowed to work on the streets and legally allowed to operate from a safety perspective. I mean, if you're into robots, then you know right at the moment there is questions about humanoids, about how safe they are. So that's why I've said it as a commercial product for 2035. I reckon over the next 4 or 5 years, there's going to be more developments. They're going to get safer, and then, especially in the UK, it may be faster in America and Asia, but especially in the UK, I reckon by the time it gets through like legislation and all the legal parts, it'd be 2035. I mean, even the little carts you see in Milton Keynes took years to actually get them legally allowed on the streets, and they're still not allowed on the streets in London. It's only certain cities. So that's why. So you are right. I 100% agree that they are here for 2025, but for them, a commercial product being like literally you see one just walk by. That's why I said that date. Yeah. Cool. Hang on, Richard at the back.
Richard Moore, Vice President of the Chamber. Now, I wonder if you could please bring it, your presentation, to make it more relevant to members here. So we're London Chamber.
Yeah.
What's happening in your world that's related or relevant to members of the Chamber? Are we already witnessing drone deliveries, robot deliveries, and so on in London itself? And how can we cooperate or work with them? Because clearly it's here to stay.
Yeah, it's a good question, and this is it. I mean, for the London Chamber, obviously, because it's obviously I understand it's also more of the small, the smaller businesses around London and not big corporates. Then I suppose this is why I talk around how accessible that these robots are going to be and are, especially in the service industry. So you can get a lot of service robots now. You can see them in the restaurants. You can get reception robots. And I suppose for small businesses, it's to look at that really, just see, well, look, if we get one of these cheaper cobots. Yeah. Well, so it's a if you're competing with the bigger players who have the budgets to actually build and spend on the bigger robots, then now you can do the same thing with smaller budgets. So it's not a threat. It should be a way to make you more competitive. If that's what you mean by that question, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Gerald Peoples from a company called Tech Audit. I'm really curious because these are, going to be autonomous machines wondering about capturing data and information. Where's that going to go, that data and information?
Well, so there is a whole data piece around it. Yeah. So even now, some of the robots that come into the UK, they have to make sure that the data is held within the UK and not elsewhere. So you're right, there is a whole data piece of where the data is, and then the cyber security. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Digital sovereignty.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take one more question and then we get Arja, and then I'll be here right at the end as well. I'm gonna go for the gentleman in the back. I'll see you later on. Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah.
Yancy, Atlas Wall.
Yeah.
Would you say that this is going to be progress through cooperation or competition? Where would you say we are in that cycle?
So it depends on the robot. I mean, you're always going to have. Just elaborate your question a little bit more. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this may seem like a lazy example, but think about AI.
Yeah.
There was a period of collaboration where you had ecosystems that were working together to make this a reality and that's progress. So for robotics, different sphere, different area, but in this cycle, are we seeing more progress through cooperation? Is that ecosystem still open? Or is it now being driven by competition where Boston Dynamics or whoever the main players are driving more of that?
That's a good question. So you've obviously got the main players driving for sales, to sell more robots. There is collaboration in terms of there's businesses that will connect into those humanoid robots with their businesses, like data businesses and something like that. But it's it's always going to be a competitive market. And I think what we're seeing again with the humanoid one is we're just going to see a lot of companies competing, then probably starting the ones that fail will fail, and there'll be others that buy each other, and then we'll come out with a mainstream, just like we got the HPs and the Dells and the iPhones now. There is going to be an emergence, and then we'll come out with clear players. That's what I've seen. Okay, right. If okay, we'll ask questions for robots right at the end, just so we get Arjun on for the AI. That's okay. Yeah. Okay.
Fascinating. And now
Get that.
Arjun Jagota, who's AI researcher for Imperial College London.
Sorry, I had some slides, but